Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to another edition of BrainScratch. I'm your host, John Lorden, and this week we're going to do things a little bit different. I decided to go alien hunting on the internet. Here's a bunch of pictures of all kinds of different footage of aliens, and today we're going to talk about several of the most popular pieces of footage, see if we can support them, see if we can debunk them. And then, of course, if you guys have other suggestions, please use the comment box below, send some links, and we can check those out as well for more creepy aliens caught on camera. I'm particularly interested in aliens caught on camera as opposed to spaceships caught on camera. With modern video editing technology and special effects suites, it is extremely easy to fake spaceships. As a matter of fact, one of the easiest tricks to do for most people that are just getting into video editing is called a chroma key. That is where you can take a picture, select a color, and basically superimpose anything over that color. And because of that, faking spaceships flying in environments is extremely easy. Like seriously, you could probably watch some YouTube tutorials on it and be doing it within a handful of hours. So I'm a bit critical of spaceship footage, but alien footage is really, I think, the hot point here. And if you consider that cameras have been around for well over 100 years now, and there's been all kinds of different passes on alien footage. Of course, I've done a BrainScratch before about the Solway Firth spaceman, but there should be plenty of examples to look at and review for potential alien footage, considering how long cameras have been around. And I do think that a picture of an alien is going to be probably one of the most famous pictures to ever exist. The person that takes that picture is likely to gain not just a lifetime of notoriety, but a legend that will probably go on for years and years and years. And before we start this, I just want to share with you guys, I personally do believe that there is other life out there. I think the odds that we are just a cosmic accident that is the only freak occurrence of life to happen doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We are now seeing signs, at least on Mars, of other potential types of life that could have existed there previously that might not be there any longer, but we're certainly seeing signs that they were there in the past. And I've always struggled with just the human mentality of kind of self-importance, and that humans frequently think of themselves as the center of the universe. As a matter of fact, we used to think that the solar system revolved around Earth, and of course we learned that that wasn't true. So aliens, I think they're out there. Do I think that they are humanoid looking with large heads and big eyes? I'm not quite sure, but maybe some of this footage will change my mind. So let's jump into it. Starting just with a regular search on Google for alien footage, you can see right at the top you get YouTube claims, best footage of alien close-up and clear, and that's just from 2014. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at that one real quick. Here we go. This is by, I would like to pronounce his name as the Polish Knob, though I'm pretty sure that's not how it's pronounced. Here is some footage of an alien.
Why are you walking away?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would walk away from that too. Let me just say I did not find that footage particularly convincing. Seems to me like it's some type of alien mannequin or dummy, and someone is just moving it behind the bushes there. And you get into the second video where they get into more special effects driven stuff, but you can, at least I have very strong feelings that it is computer animated. And then this one that says real alien footage, where it's essentially claiming that the alien is like warping across the screen in some way. But I was very quick and easy to deduce that it was actually footage that was being filmed through a window. The window had a smudge on it. The cameraman was moving, and the smudge looked like it was jumping across the picture, and that is what that YouTube creator thinks is footage of an alien. So definitely a lot of bad stuff out there. I have to say, they get a ton of views. So I mean, if you're just looking for clickbait, if you just don't care about your audience all that much and you're just looking for a bunch of views, make a video and say that it's new hot alien footage, and even if you only have a subscriber base of a few hundred or a few thousand people, you're likely to get tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views. You might get a lot of downvotes with that, but I definitely noticed that trend among these initial videos that I bumped into. But let's move along to some of the stuff that's a bit more controversial, and I'm going to start here with what is known as the McPherson Tape. This is from 1989. Let's just watch a little clip of it. Also, I have to apologize in advance if there's any cursing in this. You guys know I don't usually include that kind of stuff on my videos anymore. But I'll try to edit it out if I can, but we'll see how it goes. So that is a spaceship. Kind of reminds me of the spaceship from E.T. And there we get two aliens that are meeting up and chatting outside of their spaceship. Now, this video is well over an hour long and is almost like a found footage video. It is showing a family that is having a birthday party for their niece. Strange things start occurring. A couple of the family members go outside. They bump into the spaceship there. Then they get back to the house. They let the other adults know what's going on. Everyone starts freaking out. And then weird things start happening around the house. If you're wondering, yes, I have watched this thing in its entirety. The aliens actually, one of them gets hurt and a guy brings one into the house and then it disappears. It really turns into what almost feels like a horror movie in terms of the storytelling that's going on, but it is all filmed from a one camera perspective, someone supposedly holding a camcorder that's just trying to record his niece's birthday party, and unfortunately these aliens showed up to ruin it. I can tell you I originally heard of this from some commenters on my channel, and it was kind of under the pretense that this was real. I did some research and found several other videos that were debating if this was real or not, but then I dug even a little bit deeper and found some evidence to pretty much debunk it. As you can see, this is one of my favorite websites, which I usually use for Geek and Dorks reviews. This is IMDB.com. The Internet Movie Database, and here they have an entry for what is called UFO Abduction in 1989. This is actually the title for the McPherson Tape film, and we can see it has a director, Dean Aliato, and if you take a look at his credits, he is regularly working. Actually, it looks like his most recent project was up to 2013. He's got some Alien Abduction, which I believe is actually a follow-up to that first one. But indeed, the McPherson Tape is a movie. And you can tell that if you come down here to the cast, and you can see all the family members. The Van Hees family, yeah, they're actually portrayed by actors. And if you come even a little further down, you can see Alien number 1 was played by Kay Parton. Alien number 2 was played by Jenny Klecker. And Alien number 3 by Rose Schneider. So this is clearly a production. And as a matter of fact, there's even a Wikipedia article on it. And let me just say, it used to be a personal goal of mine to get into IMDB. It is not that easy to fake a record in IMDB. So if you're thinking, hey, wait, maybe that's some kind of campaign to, smear the validity of the tape or something along those lines, highly doubt it. And the director's experience kind of goes to show that he at least continued with his career. Admittedly, I don't think any of the actors featured there went on to do much. It looks like most of them didn't even have their picture posted in IMDb. But here at the Wikipedia site, UFO Abduction was written, directed, filmed, and produced by Dean Aliato through Indie Syndicate Productions. The film is a mockumentary similar in presentation to 1999's The Blair Witch Project, but it came 10 years before that. So seriously, my hat's off to this director. He did a really cool job getting that found footage feel well before those movies were popular. Which presents the final recordings and last known whereabouts of a Connecticut family named the Van Heeses just before they are abducted by extraterrestrials. Dean Aliato produced the no-budget film using $6,500 from the company Indie Syndicate Productions. I saw some interviews with Dean. He openly speaks about this film now, and apparently most of that budget went to the creation of the spaceship and the actual alien costumes. About 10 years later, he tried to redo this film and made another version of it. So pretty clear that this one is debunked. Though I have to tell you, if you go searching on Google or YouTube, you will still find people making blogs, making videos that are questioning the validity and actually trying to get their viewers to believe that this tape might actually be real. So it's still floating around out there that this could be real, but I'm telling you, Brain Scratcher, according to what I've seen, this is totally debunked. This is a production. Now we're going to move to one that I hold a little near and dear to my heart. Let's jump over to Netflix. As a matter of fact, it's on Netflix right now, so if you want to watch it for yourself, you can. This one is called Alien Autopsy, Fact or Fiction. Here we have a still from it. And this one became popular around 1995, if I remember correctly, hosted by Jonathan Frakes. For any of you Star Trek The Next Generation fans out there, that's right, Commander Riker is the host of this special. And apparently this is, once again, found footage. Supposedly this was an elderly man that was working with the Army who had since had this film of this alien autopsy. He had to do some processing on it. He wanted to return it to the authorities, but they never came to get it. So supposedly he sat on it for years and years and years until his amazing luck, a film producer bumped along, learned about it, and bought it from him, and then came and sold it to this other production company to basically make this series. And it did turn out to be a kind of a series of films about this particular film. What's cool about it is this alien autopsy goes on for, at least the original footage, is 22 minutes long. The documentary is really well done because it weaves in a bunch of research tied to the Roswell incident. So even if you don't believe in the validity of the actual film, which we'll get to in a little bit, the research around it and some of the other people that are interviewed, that is their true accounts. These are not actors in this case. So this documentary I particularly enjoyed. I actually owned this on VHS back in the day. That's how much I liked it. I watched it several times. I actually just rewatched it today. It kind of felt like an old friend. I mean, I was remembering some of the sentences before the people being interviewed were saying them. There's a very cool segment with Stan Winston Studios. Stan Winston has since died, but if you don't know him, you know his work. He did creature creation for Jurassic Park. He helped bring the alien from Aliens to life. He really did some of the best Hollywood effects back in the day, and his view of this footage is that it's pretty amazing footage, and if it is faked, the person that's doing it is doing a wonderful job that his team would even struggle to do. So, is this footage real? Is it fake? Well, I have a little bit of personal insight here. I've been fortunate enough to talk to the producer of this. He told me the story from his perspective, and then I also bumped into the Wikipedia article on it. And let me just say that after reading through the Wikipedia article, all of the main points of the story that the producer told me are echoed exactly here in Wikipedia as he told them to me. So this story seems very solid, very consistent, and here's the word on it. So there are two producers that actually worked on this together before the producer that I spoke to got brought into the project, but their names are Ray Santilli and Gary Schofield. And here we see Santilli and Schofield stated that they had, quote, restored the damaged footage by filming a simulated autopsy on a fabricated alien based upon what Santilli saw in 1992, and then adding in a few frames of the original film that had not degraded. So the story is that Santilli saw it in the early 90s, had to save up some money to buy the footage from the guy that had shot it, and then by the time he bought the footage, the film had degraded so badly that only a few frames were left. Now, if that's not hard enough to swallow, I'll tell you what's extremely hard to believe in this. he goes to the trouble of building a set, hiring a person to create the alien, casting actors, finding appropriate props that are time appropriate, like the clock, the phone on the wall, their clothing, some of the tools that they're using for the autopsy. But the likelihood of shooting a scene and then having it match up perfectly with the original footage for just a frame or two here or there really defies logic to me. Quite honestly, I don't believe that there's any original frames, if they exist, in that footage. I'm pretty sure it would be noticeable. Let's get a little more info here. According to Santilli, a set was constructed in the living room of an empty flat in Rochester Square, Camden Town, London. John Humphreys, an artist and sculptor, was employed to construct 2 dummy alien bodies over a period of 3 weeks using casts containing sheep brains set in raspberry jam, chicken entrails, and knuckle joints obtained from S.C. Crosby Wholesale Butchers, Smithfield Meat Market, London. Humphreys also played the role of the chief examiner in order to allow him to control the effects being filmed. There were 2 separate attempts at making the footage. After filming, the team disposed of the, quote, bodies by cutting them into small pieces and placing them in rubbish bins across London. So, very clear here. We're getting some insight into the actual production, how they pulled it off. And with all that being said, I still think that footage is pretty amazing because the experts looking into it thought, A, it was a real autopsy being conducted by someone who knew what they were doing, when you had the person that actually made the alien that was conducting the autopsy. B, you have special effects wizards looking at this footage saying, wow, that is pretty good work. How are they doing that? We're not even quite certain. So even if, and knowing that it is not real footage, I still find it highly entertaining. And like I said, the rest of the documentary includes other information that is coming from other sources, so is likely not faked or hoaxed in the same manner that this is. There's a bit of a blend of fantasy and reality going on in Alien fact or fiction. Apparently, Robert Kiviat, the producer of that series that I had the fortune of speaking to, did do some follow-up series on this where they kind of investigated into the footage farther, and they came to the same conclusion that, you know, this footage had been faked. However, Mr. Santilli is sticking to his story that there are a few frames in there that are from the original footage. I personally believe he might be doing that for a legal defense position. I think if this came out that it was a hoax and the entirety of the footage was faked, potentially people that paid money for that footage could come back and sue him. So personally, I think it's a story to cover his butt legally, and he has not told anyone where those specific frames are. I'm pretty sure at this point, you know, coming up over, 21 years since this tape came out, I think every inch of that footage has been analyzed by people. And if there was any jumps or stutters where you could see another frame had been jammed in the middle of it, I'm pretty certain someone would have brought that about and it would be internet newsworthy by now. But that doesn't appear to be the case. So, Alien Autopsy, fact or fiction? Partially faked. Let's say the footage is faked, but the other information in there, where you have people talking about handling the materials that were at the crash site, there might be some real info in there. I certainly think you should check it out on Netflix. And now we come to the final clip that we're going to review today. Let's just watch a little bit. This is an alien interrogation. And this is apparently a heart monitor, this green blipping over here. I've never quite seen a heart monitor like that before, but also note there's what looks like a television screen of some kind here. Apparently there's supposed to be a sheet of glass between him and the people conducting the interview. It's very hard to see them, but in the shadows on the left side here supposedly is one of the people conducting the interview. And in a moment here we're going to see some other people enter the frame. A lot of the movement of this head has been called into question. Some experts seem to think that looks like puppeteering, that the head is just not moving naturally. We can see someone else has come in on the right side of the frame here. And I think at this point they're trying to make us think that the alien is distressed by tilting it on its side like that. Now we see that medical help has come in. What appears to be two doctors shining a flashlight all over its face and looking at the alien kind of from behind. I don't know about you guys, but my doctor has never checked me out from that position. They've always wanted to look at me straight on. They're wiping something off of its mouth. So many questions about this footage. I can tell you right at the start that this video does not have the neat, clean, tidy ending that we had from the first two that we reviewed here, of knowing that they were actually produced by someone. This one is still debated. It's still pushed back and forth. This also came from a special that came out in 1997. I believe it's called Area 51 Alien Interview. And it's kind of interesting. I watched that whole special today. You can find it on YouTube. I'll try to include the link below, but sometimes those links go bad very quickly. It's kind of interesting because that documentary refers in several places to the Alien Autopsy documentary, and kind of like it's trying to one-up it, like, hey, we know we've got better footage, and it's not fake and doesn't look all fake like that other stuff in Alien Autopsy. I have some big problems with this footage. Number one is the lighting in there. Now, admittedly, they worked an excuse into this. This footage is presented with a person that is kept in the shadows who calls himself Victor, and they have his voice modified. And he has this story that kind of fills in some of the gaps about why the footage might look like it looks. Number one, he says that the alien's eyes are extremely sensitive to light, which is why the room is so dark. I did find one commenter on a website who said, well, if that's the case, then why is the only light that's on in the room shining on the alien's face? Very good question. The source Victor also says that there is no audio for this footage because he removed it. He didn't want the doctor and the psychic that are working in the room to be identified for any reason. Kind of convenient. In terms of the doctors, Victor even has a comment about why they seem so unprofessional, saying that the medical staff at this Area 51 facility is usually hired because of their ability to keep secrets, not because they're very good at what they do. And I have to say, the first time I watched this footage and I saw the doctors come in and saw how they were handling the alien, I thought it was a hoax, personally, because those doctors did not seem like they knew what they were doing. As opposed to the alien autopsy footage, where the doctors are being very gentle, they seem to be holding the tools right, going at an appropriate pace for what you think would go on during an autopsy. These doctors, what the heck are they doing? You get two guys that run in, one of them's grabbing the alien by the head, the other one's shining a light all around his face. I mean, are you looking in his pupils? Are you looking in his mouth? You can't even really tell. The doctor is trying to see those from the vantage of being behind the alien, which makes little sense unless this is a produced piece and that person was directed to, hey, don't hide the alien's face. That's the star of the shot. So as you're doing your investigation, stay behind him, but you can kind of reach over and look at him that way. Like I said when the footage was running, I've never had a doctor look into my mouth or my eyes or do any of that from a position behind me. It literally makes no sense. The doctor needs to be able to analyze what's going on properly. The point of the alien looking like it's distressed simply by its head kind of turning sideways, I don't buy it. I can tell you this footage, when you watch it with Victor's narration, it's like his narration is filling in all these gaps for why this footage is so weak. But the question is still out there, and I can certainly not firmly debunk this. We don't know anything about the production. We don't know people that were involved with the production like we do on the first two. I did look and try to do some digging into who Victor might be. And I found this article at UFOdigest.com that says the identity of Victor could be revealed. I guess I should also note that Victor was interviewed once on Coast to Coast AM after this, but outside of that appearance, and that was when Art Bell was on that show, Outside of that appearance and this original video, those are the only two sightings of Victor to ever occur. I discovered a video which may reveal Victor's identity. So who is Victor? Well, this video suggests and shows pretty convincing evidence that Victor is Mr. Robert Dean, a retired U.S. Air Force sergeant who has been investigating UFOs for over 40 years. Robert Dean was involved with a documentary about the alien interview where he gave his opinion. Could Mr. Dean really be Victor? Well, then watch the video and make up your own mind. So if we go to that video, they're trying to show here that, for example, it looks like he could be wearing the same tie. I think that could be a different tie. They're trying to show that the shape of his head, obviously he's bearded. This guy is bearded as well. You know, I think it's possible that this is the same guy. Here's some other pictures of Robert Dean. And I do find in particular these pictures with the way that his hair is swooping out on both sides, that does seem to be a match for Victor here. But once again, it's pretty hard to base a conclusion on something as simple as a hairstyle, the way the guy's sitting. And the shape of his face, I'm not really convinced. This guy seems to have a pretty lean neck, Victor. And Mr. Dean is a bit heavier. His shoulders actually come up a bit higher where his head is. And Victor seems a little bit leaner. So personally, I'm not certain. I can tell you Art Bell, by the end of his interview, he felt fairly comfortable and confident in the information that Victor was giving him, that it could be true, that it very well did feel like it could be accurate. The only thing that I found a little bit weird is at one point Victor's talking about the biosafety level in that building or in that particular room where the footage is taken. And he says that it's biosafety level 2, which is basically the lowest. And as soon as he said that, this weird little thing triggered in my head where I'm like, is biosafety 2 really the lowest? Wouldn't biosafety 1 be the lowest? And I found an article once again at Wikipedia that does indeed say biosafety level 1 is a level and is the lowest. So I don't know if that was just a little goof in terms of the presentation. Maybe he was nervous to be talking in front of the cameras or something. I really don't know. It is worth stating he was paid for that footage, which I think in all of these cases, the person that brought the footage to the producer that turned it into a special was paid. So it is worth noting that there is some money to be made in faking footage like this. Do I think that this footage is real? I really don't think so. I have problems with the way the camera is placed, the way the room is lit. If you really have an alien that has photosensitive or eyes are sensitive to brightness like that, why don't you get a camera that is using night vision or something along those lines? And if you are, why are you placing the camera in a position where you're largely shooting the backs of two people in what's pretty much an entirely dark environment? I mean, let's look at this one more time. I have to estimate over 70% of what is in the picture frame is black. So it seems to me like this was a shot that was set up. It seems to me like this is a piece that was produced. Having a heart rate monitor, why would it be at that spot where we could all see it? I don't know. It doesn't feel legit to me. If they really wanted to capture this interview with this alien, why is the camera not at the same level that these two men are at? Why isn't it moved up there where they could get better footage, closer footage of the alien's face? This isn't like a security camera or something that's caught up in the corner. This is a camera that has been placed at this specific point. So what's the reason for this camera being in such a bad position to capture this interview? And the lighting in this room is probably the most suspect thing to me. But this is where I turn it over to you guys, and this is the big question for this episode. What do you guys think? Is this one a hoax as well? Is there something legit to this? Do you think that the other ones are legit and it's just some type of disinformation or smear campaign to wipe those out of the public consciousness? Let me know about it in the comments below, and of course, please include links that you might have to other videos that you find compelling in terms of them grabbing alien life. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of BrainScratch. I appreciate each and every one of you that spends time with me. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll catch you on the next show on the Geek and Dorks channel. Take care.